wealth management. So we talked about, something that leads us into wealth management. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful of a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. This is the parable at the end of the talents. Okay, let's go on here. My clicker stopped working there.
No, still work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to switch the page?
Say again?
You want me to change it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually works when you stop it. There you go.
Yeah. That might,
I should fix it.
There you go. That's again. There you go.
Okay.
It usually works when you do that.
yeah. All right, there we go. We're good. All right, so wealth management. And we kind of go to what we just talked about a minute ago. Understanding interest. And in that parable, the man with the 5 talents went and put his money to work and gained 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, Jesus told the one who had 1, and the least you could have done is taken it to the money changers and gain interest off of it. Well, let's talk about real quick interest, compound interest, and two terms that we sometimes see, maybe not understand the difference: APR and APY. Your annual percentage rate, like I said, that's basically the annual rate of interest without taking into account compounding within the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So if you have a 5% interest APR, that's basically based on a 12-month cycle. That's only, or they call it simple interest.
Mm-hmm.
APY, annual percentage yield, that's when you take into account the effects of intra-year compounding. So let's say if you're compounding quarterly or compounding monthly. So in effect, you actually get a different rate. And APY is what you're actually paying, not APR. That's what they would typically quote you. Let's say, all right, and here's an example. Let's say a bank quotes you APR of 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that is compounded semi-annually, every 6 months, your actual rate is 5.06%.
Mm-hmm.
If it's compounded quarterly, it's 5.09%. If it's compounded monthly, 5.11%.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, that's actually the rate that you're actually paying. That's what you get. The interest is actually accrued, or if it's a loan that you're actually paying. So even though they quote you at APR,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how it's compounded,
Mm-hmm.
you can be paying quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but a difference. Yeah. All right. So here's an example. A credit card company may charge you, and if you read the back,
Mm-hmm.
they'll swear that 1% interest each month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that without understanding, oh man, that sounds really good. 1%. No, what the APR is equal to 12% because they charge you the month. Now the APY for 1% compounded monthly would actually come to 12.68%, over 0.5% more. Is what the actual APY. So with that being said, is if you carry a balance on the credit card for 1 month period, you'd be charged 12%. But if you don't pay it off at the end of the month, and it rolls over a year, you're paying 12.68%.
Which is very interesting because a lot of credit cards companies, they don't want you to pay off your balance.
No, they don't. No, because
Because of that right there.
yeah, and it may seem small and trivial, but you multiply that times hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's or a large balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have another example. Yeah, just kind of give you an idea. All right, you got 3 people: Charlie, Kim, and Sally. They have all got the same amount of money to invest, $10,000. and they're going to invest it for 20 years.
Okay.
All right, at 6% interest.
Mhm.
The only difference is the compounding.
Right.
Charlie's, his is compounded annually,
Mm-hmm.
and his after it should be 20 years. After 20 years, his 10,000 will be $57,000.
Okay.
Kim, hers is compounded quarterly. She's gonna make over almost $2,000 more over 20 years.
There should be 20, not 30.
Yeah, right there should be 20. Mhm. And Sally is compounded monthly, and will make almost over $3,000 difference between Charlie's, simply in how it's compounded. Nothing else changed in the equation. So over a 20-year period, almost a $3,000 difference between compounding monthly or compounding annually. So understanding the magic of compounded interest can work for you or it can work against you.
In that case, it works for somebody.
Yeah, exactly. In this case, it works against you
Right.
because now less of your money goes toward principal and more is going toward paying interest. So, another example when we talk about unsecured debt management. John and Jane both have, I guess I should update my names to LaQuisha and Dante.
Dante, that's right.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah.
So Laquita.
See, now that's being stereotypical.
It is, isn't it? But isn't John and Jane?
Okay. John and Jane are the only ones that have $2,000 debt on their credit card.
You know? Why can't you say Herschel?
Or Juan?
Yeah.
There, we'll make it inclusive.
There you go.
Juan and Jaime.
I mean, I was just about to say. Why was I about to say that? Why was it just? You took it right from me.
House here.
Yeah. All right. So we got two people with indescript names. Both have $2,000 of debt on their credit cards. Minimum monthly payments is 3% or $10 as I use our credit cards. Rate, yeah, whichever is higher. They've got a 20% annual APR. All right, John pays the minimum, but Jane pays an extra $10 on top of her monthly minimum. So with that, we do some math. I typically don't like doing math in public. So I say the principal, $2,000.
What?
Yeah.
I don't understand that statement.
What?
You don't like doing math in public?
It's from briefing, doing briefing slides. You typically never want to put, because especially in technical fields, because you've got, scientists and geeks that will sit here and nitpick your mathematics to death. So yeah, typically you don't want to do math in public.
That's cute.
Yeah. Normally don't do math in public. All right, so look at that principal. The interest, $33. And that's just math. Payment, 3% of the remaining balance would be $6. So your total principal repayment would be $26 and $60. Because so if you're paying $60, $33 of that is interest. So you got $26.67 going to principal. That's on a 20% interest. And just paying the minimum. So now your remaining balance after the first month would be $1,973 because only $26 went to principal. $33 went to interest. And you keep doing this calculation each month until the balance is paid off. That's really exciting. Yeah. All right. So now let's take a look at it over long term. So in the end, John is going to end up paying $4,240 over 15 years to pay off a $2,000 credit card.
Because he keeps paying that little bit.
Because he's just paying the minimum. Yep. So he's going to pay $2,200
And that's what
in interest.
That's what the credit card companies like.
And that right there is what eats up our wealth.
Mm-hmm. Secured debt.
So take out how much he could have invested this and done something positive with it as opposed to paying that to a credit card company.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at Jane. Jane paid an extra $10 a month on top of the minimum. So she's going to end up paying a total of $3,276 over 7 years to pay off the $2,000. And she's, yeah, exactly. Basically cut it in half. And she pays a total of $1,200 in interest as compared to just by paying $10 extra above the minimum each month. Yep, the extra $10 a month saves James almost $1,000 to cut her repayment by more than 7 years. Just $10. That's the magic of compounded interest and why credit cards.
What interest rate this is based on?
What are 20%, which is depending on your rate. I mean, that's you. You can easily have a credit card at 20%.
24.
24, yeah, most right now it's 24, yeah. So paying minimum, you know.
You never get it.
You're paying
a lot.
Now, and I am not mad at credit card companies, by no means.
It's a business.
And if I'm going to give you $2,000 unsecured, meaning there's nothing backing this except your word and a signature on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're incurring a lot of risk. And that's the price we pay for their risk.
High interest rate. Huh?
Yeah.
That's debatable.
What is? Their risk?
I mean, they insure you. You can always. That's one of those stories.
Yeah, but to you, because I would say, all right, if I came to you and said, loan me $2,000,
Right on the
and I bring nothing to the table.
yeah,
Right.
on the
Yeah.
on the minimum level, the macro, the
Yeah.
smaller. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but even they do insure it, but they don't insure the total amount. They insure what they've invested. They insure the $2,000. They're not insuring the $2,200.
I guess that's why it come. They would, they look at your credit score. That's why.
Because that's all they got to go on.
That's how they got to go on, really.
Yeah, is your word.
Yeah.
That's what your credit score really is. So when you think about, debt management for unsecured debt, always try to make those payments as much as you can.
It's a business. It's how they stay in business. How they
Yeah.
are able to keep lending.
And speaking of credit, and here again, this is probably everybody knows this. Just a couple of quick slides on that. We talk about your FICO, your Fair Isaac Credit Bureau score.
Who's Isaac?
Huh?
Who's Isaac?
Who is that? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea where those names came from. Ranges from 300 to 850.
Mm-hmm.
These three big guys, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, and it's a mathematical model.
Mm-hmm.
Here again, this is just a gauge. This is not, but really what your credit score determines, it's kind of a percentage. Payment history, that's the big one. Outstanding debt ratios, big one. Credit history, new credit, types of credit in use, whether it's bank cards, installment loans, or good credit. So those are kind of things that will influence your credit. Probably the biggest thing here is to be aware of is some of the things that will affect your score.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the statutory limitations. Bankruptcies, 10 years. Judgment, 7 years. Most things are 7 years. Probably the biggest takeaway I would say here is knowing how to manage your credit score. Sometimes paying off a credit card may not be the smartest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, it depends on, because if that's a card that has a good standing, your credit rating could actually drop by paying off a card that has a low debt ratio. So, so if you're going to pay things off, sometimes you want to look at how you pay them off. And if you've had a credit card for a long time,
Right.
and you've been in good standing with that credit card, even if you have a balance on it, but you've been paying the balance off systematically, that is keeping your score up. So if you go pay that card off,
Right.
and at the same time you have other cards that you may not have as good a credit standing on. So when you pay that one off that's good, your credit rating is probably not going to drop.
I would, now from what I've seen in doing the mortgages, it makes sense to pay off a JCPenney's, a Kmart, or Walmart, and
Yeah.
pay them off, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So if you have a bank card issued directly from the bank,
A lot of times, yeah.
keep it small, you don't go over half the balance because you're pulling your credit score
Yep.
down.
Yep.
You, the small amount on there, always pay it off.
Yeah, that's how you build credit, is not paying it off.
That's right.
It's making systematic payments. That's what credit is
Be
about.
consistent.
One of the things we used to do was, we used to tell people who wanted to get qualified, if they have money, you know, go out, take out a loan against it, but don't spend the money, pay it off.
Yeah, at least over a 6-month period of
Over
time.
6 period.
Yeah.
To build.
Because otherwise, so you can get a credit rating from that. And some other things that, you know, if you have an open account over 7 years old, you probably don't pay it. Because else it will reactivate
In addition.
and the clock starts over again.
My
Yes,
God,
it does.
my God.
What?
In the state of Virginia, it's 10 years.
And for certain things, not for all of Virginia. I don't know, I'm not sure about Virginia.
The credit card, yeah.
And so like I said, what you want to do is, you know, be sure that it's off your report first before you go pay it. Otherwise, it's going to pop back up and reactivate, and your score will drop again. And the last, I think this is the last section I want to talk about quickly, is wealth protection. How do you protect it? The wealth of the rich is their fortified city, but poverty is the ruin of the poor. Proverbs 10:15. This is just a quick section on life insurance. Now, I used to be a life insurance salesman. Used to be a life insurance salesman also. Well,
Wow.
as we talk, we've done so many things in common along the way. It's like sometimes kind of scary. Like, really? And just in conversation, it's like, oh, yeah, I should do that. I should do that.
He didn't do any of those things.
Yeah, just make it all.
A wolf and
You got it right.
The loves to get his feet moving.
Insurance. What is the purpose of insurance? It's to
Asset
transfer.
protection.
No,
Well, that's what some people look at it as.
it's to transfer risk.
Okay.
You're not protecting the asset, you're transferring risk. When you have insurance on your car is because if you hit someone else, you don't have, most of us,
Oh, I'm
$300,000.
I'm talking about from another end. Go ahead.
but no, even when you say asset protection, it's risk. Insurance is all based on risk. If you're ever set in a insurance class, that is the first thing you're going to start talking about is risk. Because there's certain things we all have. There's always risk in life. You know, I can either transfer it, I can avoid it, I can mediate it. Certain things with risk. When I transfer it, that's what I'm doing. I'm transferring every month. Every 6 months, I pay car insurance. Not just because it's a law in Virginia, but because there's a risk of me being in an accident, and I am not able to cover that risk out of my pocket. So I've transferred that risk to USAA. So,
I was thinking life insurance.
well, life insurance is the same thing, especially life insurance.
Yeah, because how long is it gonna take for them, somebody else, are you gonna leave the risk
Yes.
of your house,
Exactly.
car payment to your family, or you just gonna leave that risk to that insurance, so if something happens to you, that's taken care of?
Exactly. It's all about transferring. So, because if you don't understand that, then that's why people buy insurance they don't need, because they don't understand the risk associated. I don't have risk, so I don't need insurance. I don't have flood insurance. Why?
It's not a flood zone.
The risk, low risk. So insurance is always about covering risk, risk, transferring risk. Now, with that said, 3 types of insurance: term, whole, universal. Technically, there's only one type of insurance. She's over here smiling. Here. Technically, there's only one type of insurance: term. And what I mean by that is, if you go to every state, their attorney general, they set the cost of insurance rates for insurance for that state. Insurance is governed by the state, and the cost of insurance is set based on your age factors, other things for a block of insurance. Term insurance is just what it means is it's set for a specific term: 15-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year. So for a term. And all you pay for is the cost of insurance. Plus, typically there's some overhead, but very, very minimal. So when you buy term insurance, there's no cash value associated with that. It is just the cost of insurance based on your mortality, called mortality tables. And so you're a 55-year-old male, non-smoker, here we go. So based on mortality rates and mortality tables, this is how much $1,000 worth of insurance is going to cost. $10 per 1,000. Well, excuse me. The insurance business, especially life insurance, because you're betting on the inevitable with life insurance. Because of that, and because it's such an emotional area, be careful with things that are emotional, like funerals, children, because anything's emotional, I can ease money out of your pocket.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Your mother's gone, and I know you want to be sure she's put away in the right way, because you know how much, So this casket here is guaranteed not to leak for 40 years. And you wouldn't want your mother,
A leaky coffin.
that's how things work that are having emotional side.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Capitalize.
That's true.
Yeah. So things that are emotional, try to separate, yourself from that. So now I gotta change those colors. It works on screen, but I'll project that. Make sure. So what is whole life? Well, what whole life did, they take the same cost of insurance that term does. They call it permanent because they just extend the term to your end of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then they add additional premium to that. They take that additional premium and roll it into what they call a cash value. And usually what they do is take that cash value and they'll invest that in an annuity. So they're going to invest your money for you and guarantee that you'll get 2%, minimum, as they invested in an annuity of some type. So you have a cash value and they've charged you extra over what the normal cost of insurance. And what they do with that extra premium, because if you look at mortality rates, your insurance, whether you get term or whatever, it's always going to go up in those tables. Because you're getting older, it's set up in categories. So if you're 25 to 35, you're going to pay this much. Male 35 to 45, pay this much. 55 to 65. Those costs go up regardless of whether you have term or whole life. Well, all they do here is that they charge you more money up front. When you're younger, when the cost of the insurance is low, they overcharge you. So that way, they have banked this in this cash value, so they're able to pay the delta from what. That's why it says, your payment never changes, right? Because we're charging you too much when you're young. Invest in a little bit of it so that we can pay the additional when you get older.
I think I'm finally understanding the concept of the bailout. I've talked about this for years, but without that, there's no way that these models could sustain itself without cash flowing into its.
And what this model could, with term and whole, what broke the model, or what fractured the model, didn't break it, is when they started doing these. That's why there was regulations in place up until mid-90s during the Clinton era, that kept insurance companies and investment houses separate. So when they moved to, in as many names these, universal life and flexible life, and so same thing. So they got the same cost of insurance, but then they detached the cash value. So now more your premiums go into a cash value to pay costs of insurance and investments. So now they say, well, we're going to give you control over how you invest this difference. But to do that, they had to charge a lot more overhead. So that's why these policies became very expensive. And because they separate these two, these went to investment houses as opposed to typically just going and investing in an annuity. So now I've got an investment house, which before, by law, they were separate, who is now managing this resource as an investment, whether it's stocks, bonds, because you could take this cash value and invest it now. I want to invest it here or there. But the problem with these is for about the first 7 years, you're paying a huge front end load. And what that front end load is, that's what's paying the agent who sold it to you. That's why if you go to most insurance houses, they're going to try to offer you this. Because as an agent, and she probably tell you, this is where I'm making
The most money,
the most money.
because they don't guarantee you anything, and they only guarantee you 2%. So they can invest it in a high yield stock that'll pay 30% and only give you 2%, and they pocket the rest.
Yep, that's what they do.
And that's what banks do with your savings.
And so you still have this insurance piece that this cash value is supposed to be paying for, just like here. But what happened is some of these lost so much money that they weren't able to cover. They were cover the cost of insurance, and there were policies that actually lapsed because this, based on the
Credit cards.
well, the pre-bailout.
The pre.
Yeah, this right here deflated because these investments started to tank, and now people have policies that lapse because either or they get the letter in the mail. Well, we got to increase your premiums to this amount due to economic downturns. We're unable to cover the cost of insurance.
And most people don't understand that. They think it was just about the housing.
That was just a small part of that. Yeah. So this is life insurance 101 of how the market works. Now, for me personally, I don't want life insurance companies investing my extra money. I'm sure this is why you guys are here, to learn to invest your own. Why I always look at term insurance. Because I want my cash value in my pocket.
Simply put.
Yeah, simply put, as opposed to giving it to a life insurance company who's going to go invest it either in a low-paying annuity or a higher risk thing here that,
So they can get the money.
yeah, and pay them 7.5, 8% front-end load.
Right. So they're making double money.
So real quick, I say, term life insurance, we call it term because it's temporary protection for a specific period of time. You only pay the cost of insurance. Whole life, what they call permanent, because here again, they just extend the term until you die.
Wow.
Like I said, a portion of the premiums go to pay the adult savings. Yep, and they control your money. And like I said, the flexible ones, actually early 80s, it's more flexible whole life. But like I said, it brought a lot of things with it. No, when I was in insurance sales, I used to work with E.F. Hutton. And this is what they wanted you to push. This right there. Term, so when you go out there, and that's why I only stayed in the business for a very short time because, I can't do this,
Whipping people off.
And, and I don't have a problem making a profit. I understand that. Your insurance salesman he's got to eat too. His family has to eat. But yeah, I just couldn't look at myself in the mirror. All right. Now, one thing I did take the slides out of here that talks about calculating insurance. Most people are either underinsured or overinsured. Okay, and meaning that how do you calculate how much life insurance do you need? How do you, and there are some ways of doing it. Rule of thumb, different financial planners say, anywhere from 5 times your annual salary. So if you are the breadwinner, so if you make $100,000 a year, you may need $500,000 of insurance. But what you really want to do is evaluate risk. At the end of the day, what happens if she dies? What is the risk? What happens if he dies? What is the risk? How much income will we need to sustain ourselves till we get back? Many times, life insurance salesmen, they like to sell you riders on your kids. because you got to think of the children. Those children, those darling daughters you have. What do you think when they're gone? Nothing happens when they're gone. That's the answer. I know it sounds cold, but from a risk perspective, if your kids die, other than the cost of burial,
Right.
nothing happens. They're a liability. They're not an asset.
Right.
So yeah, get a $10,000 rider on them so that you can cover the cost of burial.
Right.
So if little Susie, Shaniqua, Juan, we miss any culture. If they pass away, if anything, they're probably going to help you out financially. So really, it's about gauging risk. That's what insurance is about. And if you think about it, especially with life insurance, it's so funny because we would never do this with any other insurance. If your car insurance company called you up and says, "Man, we got this great deal. We're going to charge you about 20% more in your policy. We're going to take that money and invest it for you." You would think, "What? You've lost your mind?" Yeah. But it's so funny with life insurance, we got caught in this mantra that wouldn't work anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you didn't have a car, which means I have no liability. But you may want to buy some protection anyway. Why? But we do that with life insurance. I have no liabilities. So that's why I love term, because at some point when I hit 75, 80 years old, if I live that long, what liabilities do I have? If I die, other than the fact that I just want to leave somebody some money. But I should not have minimal liabilities. So my need for life insurance should drop way down at that point.
Do places like Europe use the same business model when it comes to insurances?
Are you talking life or are you talking health insurance?
Yeah.
Because health insurance is
Yeah, I'm talking about
Life.
life and property casualty.
They have different with depending on where you are. Property and casualty is different because of the way sometimes property ownership is different, depending on the country.
Which I assume so.
Yeah.
It's just that you deal with American policies and the capitalistic nature of our society. You don't really know what's outside this realm.
Yeah. Well, and really with insurance, this is just pretty much in the last 100 years, or maybe 100. This is 2016, so 1916, probably maybe 150 years.
Is there ever a time that do insurance companies insure people outside the country?
Yeah, they can. Depending on here again.
So is that always CONUS?
Well, pretty much, but it's based on really what brought in insurance was the industrial age. During the agricultural period, insurance was not that big of a deal. There wasn't that much insurance. As we moved into an industrial society, that's what changed the scope on how we view risk. Everything from workman's compensation, workman's comp, all those different types of insurance were really built around as we moved into an industrial age. Because it changed our living patterns, it changed many things in our society to where now it shifted the risk model.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, well, quick summary. Some of the things we talked about tonight. God's resources, stewardship, some wealth principles, 7 steps of financial freedom, how we look at wealth management, from basically interest in managing debt, and wealth protection, insurance. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of this that you can maybe roll into your class, your training, maybe sustain it in some type of way. I enjoyed putting this together.
Yes.
Like I say, I hadn't gone through this in a while, so it was a good refresh for me to pull this back up and kind of go through this again. Thank you all very much. God bless you, and I appreciate it.
His will, His way.